All right, traders and investors. I don't know why my camera is always doing that little flip thing in the beginning there, but I'll look into it another time. Today is Monday, March 20th, approximately 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have some very important events coming up this week, specifically related to Fed decision, which I believe is on Wednesday. Housing market data comes out tomorrow. And that is another important chart we are tracking. However, the intent and purpose of this particular video has to do with crypto. And so I'm going to kind of gear the information towards Bitcoin in particular. Bitcoin is doing exactly as it was designed to do from the very beginning, which is to hedge against the uncertainty of fiat currency, which was, as we know from history, is designed to fail eventually. And those centralized banking institutions, which are currently possibly leading the failure of the dollar. So we have here, as I've said all along, the Fed is immensely stuck. There's no other way to put it. Jay Powell and company either leads us into a hyperinflationary depression or a deflationary depression, such as we had during our first Great Depression. Those are the two choices as most of us see it. And hopefully there is a third button there somewhere that is unseen but can be pressed at some point in the future, making us all wrong. I would love nothing more than to be wrong at this point. Nevertheless, here we are. We're seeing banking institutions failing and getting all sorts of under the table deals and incentives. For instance, UBS, which bought Credit Suisse. Slow down my speaking here. Has all sorts of bolstered up guarantees against unwarranted regulation and such. Basically, all I'm saying is that they're going to get some special favor from the centralized banks for saving Credit Suisse. All right, so this is the type of thing that's going to be unfolding into the future. I believe we are beginning to witness the first dominoes falling, and maybe that's the goal all along, is that we roll up all of these separate banking institutions into one big global bank, which can then issue some sort of digital currency and track us all. That being said, Bitcoin has and is doing what it was designed to do from the very beginning, which is to give us an alternative to that scenario. All right, so I'm going to delete my little meme here. And I have gone ahead and just charted out most possible. This is actually just my bias for the dollar here, that we are seeing a great big old head and shoulders pattern starting to form here. I mentioned in a previous video, and I'll draw it out here real quick, the other possibility is that we do have an inverse head and shoulders forming here. This could be the right shoulder, and the dollar could get strong for a short time before it gets weaker. Again, this all hinges upon a Fed decision regarding rate hikes. Again, as I have said all along, if Jay Powell and company continue to raise rates, we will continue to see more bank failures. I've stated something will break with this unprecedented pace of rate hikes, and it has broke and will continue to break should the Fed continue this rate or this pace of increased rate hikes. On the other hand, if they pause and pivot, that does not bode well for the dollar. And that's where this particular scenario plays out. And the dollar just continues to crash into oblivion. So remains to be seen. Either scenario is possible, but in the end, unfortunately, all I see is some sort of depression, whether it be hyperinflationary depression or deflationary depression. One of those is coming in the next year and a half. It's just the design of fiat currencies in a centralized banking system, not backed by anything. All right, so what we're witnessing here with Bitcoin is just a funneling of trust. All right, so trust was and still is the main institutions for the trust of those dollars or that store of value is a centralized banking system. When Silvergate and Silicon Valley Bank and Signature, they all start with S's, started to fail, and then we had Credit Suisse being bought by UBS. When all of that started to go down, we can see on our Bitcoin chart, what did Bitcoin do? Technicals already showed us what was going to happen with these banking systems. We tagged this great big area of confluence. As soon as we tagged that, that's when we started to hear news of bank failures. And what did Bitcoin do? It went up. Now, this was much to many people's surprise, but it shouldn't come as a surprise to people because essentially this is what Bitcoin was designed to do after the 2006 through 2008 housing market crisis. And we saw the bailout of the banks, not the people, with the money that was distributed. Every man, woman, and child per household could have been given $10,000 with that money that was distributed. If you wanted, plus their entire mortgage paid off. That is the math on the amount of trillions of dollars that was distributed during that housing market crisis. Pay off every mortgage. Doesn't matter if you owed $7.5 million on your mansion. Plus, give every man, woman, and child in each household $10,000 on top of that. Would that have stopped the housing crisis? Of course it would have. Do they care actually about stopping the housing crisis? No, they didn't care about that. They cared about their own pockets. That's just the simple truth, guys, because who did they give that money to? They gave that money to the banks. The banks got millions and millions of dollars, and CEOs in those banks got millions and millions in bonuses after that money was distributed. And that money was taken from you and me. So not only did we experience a housing crisis, and many of us lost our homes during that time, we had to pay for the bankers who caused it. This whole scenario is likely starting to play out again. So Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that is, I believe it's a anonymous group of men, Japanese men, and who designed this blockchain, designed it to hedge against centralized banking failures and the failure of fiat currency. And this chart shows right here that it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And folks, rest assured, it will continue to do so. This is why I believe in cryptocurrency. This is why I believe this is the future of our monetary system. You can no longer have an elite group of wealthy individuals controlling the financial destiny of every man, woman, and child on earth. And that's the goal of the central banking unit. And the roll-up of these banks, you can see the strategy that they have intended all along is starting to play out. This is no longer a conspiracy, folks. This is what's happening. Listen, you can call it a conspiracy all you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to be left poor and destitute in the dust with rags if you don't take action and start doing something with your money. You alone are responsible for your money. And so you have a choice to make. You can continue to mock and ridicule these so-called conspiracies, but it's not going to last many years before you realize this is all coming to fruition. Enough ranting on that. Crypto, Bitcoin specifically, has come into an area of resistance here at 5,600 is what I've got marked. And in fact, with this most recent candle, what is the high on that? 28,569. Almost tagged that precisely. And so we've come up into that area of resistance. I don't know whether that is we're going to draw back from there. I expect us to retest our neckline here at some point in the future. So I don't know if we come down from that 28,600 area and retest that neckline, or whether, tomorrow we go further up and hit this whole area of resistance first. Before coming back down and retagging or retesting that neckline. Both of those scenarios are possible, and I'm just not sure enough at this point to bank on one or the other, though I might take a little cash off the top sometime this evening on my Bitcoin investments and maybe even Ethereum. I haven't looked at that chart yet. And just take some profits here. I'm in since approximately 20,000, so we've got a nice almost 50% profit so far on that investment. Yeah, we had to hold a long time, guys, so appreciate you guys all having patience during this whole downturn, and then up and then down and then up and then down. We have been emotionally rocked and psychologically with all this back and forth and manipulation, bank failures, exchange failures, etc., etc. But in the long run, those who hodl will win. So as I've said before, during these bear markets, I tend to be more of a hodler. It seems to be a safer play for me than to bet on the short side. I hate betting against crypto because I believe in it so much, and it's just hard to do. It's hard to go against your friend, and crypto is my friend. So I'd rather just hodl through, and then when I'm sure that we have rounded the corner at the bottom, I will begin trading again, because I do better trading when I understand the direction, and usually trading in the direction of bullishness. Okay, so once we retest and retag this neckline here, guys, I do expect the final target sometime this year, maybe early, late fall, would be this 35 to 39,000 target area for this cup and handle pattern. What I really wanted to focus on here towards for the rest of the video is Bitcoin dominance chart, because this is going to tell us something about Bitcoin as well. And I have drawn here two big areas of resistance that we have come into since basically back in June of 2021. All right, the first red area here, that is our heaviest area of resistance. If we pop through that, likely we'll slow down or stop like we did here in June of 2022. And like we did here, over here in August of 21, we went up into this orange area and then came back down. Now this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. This shows Bitcoin strength against all of the other cryptocurrencies, the altcoins. But you can see down here on a RSI, we are greatly in overbought territory. So I do expect some pullback coming soon. All right. And when Bitcoin does pull back and just maybe takes a little bit of a breather here, we should see altcoins start to follow. Usually what happens is the larger altcoins, maybe the top 20, let's say, will follow suit. Ethereum generally ends up being next, and then the larger cap altcoins will follow. And then after that, you see the smaller altcoins start to pop. I have been posting some charts recently about a few altcoins that have very promising, usually bullish descending wedges that have formed over a period of years now. And that is very promising. I'm seeing in the charts over the long overarching view, I'm seeing 10x returns on some of these altcoins. So guys, if you are dollar cost averaging in, especially now, and if you can afford to up the ante on your dollar cost average in, you will do very well over the course of the next 5 years. Pending the powers that be don't absolutely destroy crypto through regulation or some other form of manipulation. I apologize if you guys can hear my dog barking every day around this time. He likes to bark at whatever is passing by. It's just his time of day to bark. And so hopefully that's not too much of a distraction. But Bitcoin dominance, this is important, guys. We are coming up into this resistance. So again, it's possible that we go up into this orange area like we did a year ago and then 2 years ago. But once we enter this area, look for a pullback at some point in the future. And with that pullback, that doesn't mean that the price of Bitcoin itself will fall down. Though, as I've already stated, I do expect a little bit of a pullback to that neckline. Where's my chart here? Let me jump up to this one here. To that neckline. So that correlates with the data on the Bitcoin dominance chart. And that neckline is at 25,235. So again, trading out in this area here is not a bad idea. And then you wait for that retest down here at 25, get in at a better price, and then you ride it up to our longer term target here at anywhere from 35, 36 to 39,000, somewhere up there by late fall. All right, so that is kind of the idea on my Bitcoin trading. All right. I think that's about all I wanted to say. Just watch that dominance area. Again, Bitcoin, this is just showing us that Bitcoin is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. This is a flow of trust, guys. When you see this type of move up, that means people understand and recognize the significance of holding crypto as a hedge against what really should be the real meme coins are the banks at this point. Those are the uncertain and unsecure or insecure areas of holding your dollar. I can't even believe I have to say that, or I am saying that at this point, but it is the reality that we are faced with. All right, guys, I think that's all I'm going to say for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this content. And if you do, follow me on one of those social media channels, preferably my website. Give me a comment. Just let me know if this content is valuable to you. And I will continue to propagate this type of information. Peace, y'all.